Hello again. Today I'm going to be talking about my hobbies and why I like them. To me, hobbies are what I would choose above priority and have a hard time resisting. And pastimes are things I do when I have nothing to do and I'm trying to kill time, like before bedtime. My first and probably most well-known hobby is wheeling. As you can probably already tell by my crazy stories and pictures, I love wheeling, and sometimes I enjoy myself way too much. Despite how crazy I can get, I have some sense of caution, so fortunately, nothing too serious has happened, to me at least. Poor wheeler has been ditched a few times though. So why exactly do I like wheeling? Well, you can still have fun driving carefully, like how some of my smart friends drive. But since it's me I'm talking about, it's not really possible. It gives me a chance to either be alone and have time to think while being crazy, or it gives me something to do when my friends come over. You know, the awkward time when you ask what they want to do, but nobody wants to say what they actually want to do until 5 minutes before the time you have to split up. My second and most recent hobby is photography. I've always had an eye for precision. If something wasn't straight, I couldn't stand it. And every time someone asked me to take a picture of them, I always made sure they were perfectly in the center. However, it was only this summer that I realized how much I wanted to get into photography. So, my brother made a deal with me near the end of last school year that if I finished my math course, he would buy a really good photography camera for me. At the time, I had just made the decision to do 5/6 of the course because I was behind and struggling to get good grades, and my teacher wasn't really helpful by telling me she thought it was pretty much impossible and that she thought I couldn't do it. But I really wanted that camera, so I worked as hard as I could every day, and I did manage to finish the course. I finished the last exam on the last week of school, the week that all school was supposed to be finished by. My brother was so proud of me, and a few weeks later, he gave me a Nikon D3200. I use it a lot, and now that I'm into photography, I realize how much pictures brings back memories and how much fun it is capturing the beauty of the nature around me. My third hobby is violin. I have been playing the violin for almost 4 years now. I started piano when I was 8, but I really wasn't interested. I just wanted to play an instrument like everyone else, and I guess piano was the most well-known instrument in our small village. Thanks to my loss of interest, I didn't learn very much. So when my teacher moved, I told Mom I wanted to do guitar instead. Guitar runs through our family. Both of my brothers, though they won't admit it, are very good at guitar. So on my next birthday, Michael bought me a dusty pink, like the color dusty pink, you know. Anyway, he bought me a dusty pink guitar. I started having lessons with him every week, although he bugged me every single day about practicing. But a little before his wedding, we stopped lessons so he could help with wedding prep. After his wedding, he had a honeymoon, and after his honeymoon, he lived in a different house. So I stopped lessons for a while. I've always wanted to play the violin, and I actually had a violin one of my brothers bought for me, but we didn't know of any violin teachers, and the only violinist in the village was an older person, so Mom didn't want to stress him. But one day, a few years later, one of our friends told us there was a string instrument teacher about 30 minutes away. I was so happy, ever since I was 5, I had been praying that Mom would find a teacher for me. And 5 years later, my prayer was answered. I still play the guitar and piano on occasion, but violin is my number one instrument. One day, someone told me that her favorite instrument was a cello, and she didn't like the violin because it hurt her ears. This was at the end of the summer, 2 weeks before lessons continued. I couldn't stop thinking about what she said. After she told me, I pretended I was fine, but as soon as I was alone, I couldn't get it off my mind. I thought and prayed about whether or not I should give up violin. But during my first violin lesson of the year, while my teacher and I were doing scales, I started remembering what that person had told me. All of a sudden, I started pulling my bow perfectly across the strings to see if I could prevent that squeaky noise. And as soon as we finished that scale, my teacher looked at me, very impressed, and said, "That was very on tune, young lady. Well done." I was so happy. Though that person may have meant it otherwise, her comment made me stronger and want to work harder. To this day, I still hear her saying to her friends how much the violin hurts her ears, but it doesn't bother me. Thanks to the friends I've made in the orchestra and my understanding friends here, I can boldly say I am a proud violinist. For pastimes, I like working out, doing puzzles, reading, listening to music, or singing. Well, I guess singing is something I can do pretty much all the time. My favorite workouts are gym, running, and biking. For music, I actually don't have a favorite. I like pretty much all music: contemporary, gospel, country, classical, intense, pop, Anyway, and my favorite puzzles are the 1,000-piece nature puzzles. Near the end of last school year, I finished one of wild horses running through mountains. And now I'm working on a puzzle with a picture of 3 deer in a meadow full of rusty wagon parts. Some of these could be considered my hobbies, just because I would definitely choose these above my current priority, school. I mean, who wouldn't? But during the summer, these would be considered pastimes. This is my Lesson 30 speech for the Ron Paul Curriculum 9th grade speaking course. Thanks for watching. Hi. Hello again. Today I'm going to be talking about my hobbies. Okay. Hello again. Today I'm going to be talking about my hobbies and why I like them. To me, hobbies are what I would choose above priority and have a hard time resisting.